Right. So then, hey, look, if you kind of look into the spring game, let's get into the spring game madness. So, Division Three
Yeah.
football has now allowed for all football teams to now play against any division football team in a spring game. You know, no longer will we be stuck watching spring games that are inter squad scrimmages. Now your Morehouse could go schedule anybody. And who I'd like to put on the
Yeah.
table is Clark. I think Morehouse and Clark should go ahead and scrimmage for their spring game. What say you?
Yeah, it's a great idea. I think it's a money maker for both schools. I think each school can come out of there with between $50,000 and $100,000 if it's marketed right and if it's done correctly. I definitely think that, uh, and you can have this as an ongoing thing or in a type of rotation, like over every 4 years you end up playing your AUC rival. Uh, 1 year it's at Morehouse, the next year it's at Clark, or you go play at Lakewood. You go play at one of the high school stadiums, one of the stadiums that the public school system own. Charge $10 to get in, have food trucks, college fair stuff, a DJ out there with your bands and put on for the community and for these kids so they know what the AUC is. They know what Clark is. They know who Morehouse is. You involve Spellman in this as well. You involve Morris Brown in this as well. And it could be really, really, really nice. But it has to be done correctly and it has to be marketed right. If it's marketed right, you got something.
Right, and I think the marketing to me is just strictly on campus. How many
Well, yeah.
students and family and supporters can we get up here? Because you put a game like that, the Morehouse and Clark game, you move that up all the way to March or April. You know what I mean? When the weather might be a little bit better than when it was in November, you might get
Yep.
even bigger showing.
And that's true. So like I said, it could be a great thing, especially if you get the high schools involved. It's 1,000 high schools in the Metro Atlanta area. It's no reason that you shouldn't be recruiting some of these kids. You should have 20 to 25 of those high school kids coming to this spring game so they can see what Clark is about and they can see what Morehouse is about. That spring game should have roughly 1,200, 12 to 1,500 recruits there, just walking around on the field, watching the game, and you jumpstart your recruiting. So we don't have to go and recruit after the last high school game. Let's go ahead and start to recruit some of these kids early. Some of these kids want to come to Clark, want to come to Morehouse or Tuskegee or Savannah or Benedict, but we wait so long that we end up losing these kids to different programs at different divisions. And I'm not talking about Division One. I'm talking about we losing kids to Division 3, to NAIA, to JUCO, because we waited so long and these kids has built a relationship with these coaches over the period of 9 to 18 months because we drag our feet when it comes to recruiting. It that game that can be something. It could be the battle of the AUC, the spring jam, whatever you want to call it. But you should have 12 to 1,500 high school kids at that game, from rising seniors to rising sophomores. And then you also gonna have the kids that who fell through the crack, who still want to play college football, but might not have had the opportunity or being given the chance to be able to play college football. Bring them kids out too, so they can so those kids can see what your campus is like. Our job as HBCUs, especially our coaches, is to educate these young men and these young women. Yeah, maybe this kid can't play for you. That's fine. Bring that kid in as a manager, as a statistician, as a video guy, so he can get a jump on a career 4 years down the road.
Yeah.
Teach this kid how to be an SID. Teach this kid how to take film and how to break down film. It's more than just football. It's other things that these kids can do outside of just playing football for you and your program.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about SIDs, I think there's plenty of SIDs and SIH that could use some help. I mean, I look at
Yeah,
Morehouse College. Edwin Klein, Peter, he didn't have his stats updated at around week 4, week 5. You know, they
you
talk
know,
about me about being on the top 5 quarterback list, and his stats is outdated. You know, so that's
you
the
know what I
problem with
mean.
schools.
Yeah, you take one of these kids who want to be involved with your program, even though he probably can't play for you. You bring that kid in and show him how to take film, show him how to chart passes and how to keep stats, and then they can help out the SID.
Right. So then you mentioned even recruiting. Recruiting's always big during the spring game, but I really think that the amount of money that both of these schools could make for a Morehouse Clark spring game really outweighs anything else that would speak negatively. What are your cons? 'Cause you think that this is something that probably won't happen.
My cons is, you got two new coaches. You got Coach Keaton over at Clark, who I love dearly. Then you got Coach Mathis over at Morehouse, who's a really solid guy. I really like him. Uh, they don't want them to show each other their hand just yet. Yeah, we're gonna see a little bit of what Coach Keaton done because he's been in this space for a minute. He was at Stillman, at Allen, now he's at Clark. Coach Mathis was at Savannah State in 2010, 2011. So that's going to be some of it there. They don't want to show their hand, and ain't nobody going to pay to watch no 25 dive and a 37 pitch and zipper rip corner out. Nobody's going
5 plays each.
to yeah, nobody's going to pay for that. But and that's one con. The second con is by these kids being so close to one another. Clark and Morehouse is a mile and a half, if it's that. You can stand on one campus and throw a rock to the other. We need to make sure that cooler heads prevail if this does happen in the spring. Nobody wants for their own team to just get beat up during the spring. Nobody wants that. So now you're going into a spring game against your rival and you've been beating each other up for 3 weeks. Now you're ready to hit somebody else. So that can cause a little conflict as well. But there's nothing that cannot be overcame. We just need to make sure that everybody understands what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into a new age of college football. All the ranks, Division 1, 2, 3, we're getting into a new age of it. And even with that being a thing, there are going to be other options for spring games. So
Yeah.
give me some of your options for Morehouse and Clark, and then I'll throw some of mine at you.
You know, the number one option for Morehouse and Clark, if they're not going to play each other, I would say Kennesaw State would be a good option. Kennesaw State's probably about 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. Uh, Mercer, which is in Middle Georgia, down near Fort Valley, that's another good option. Uh, Shorter, which is about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. This is Division 2, uh, which is cool, but they're a decent year in and year out. If you want to keep it within the 2 to 3 mile radius, 2 to 3 hour radius, then you got Sanford, which is in Birmingham. You have Alabama State, which is in Montgomery. You
Hold on.
also
We get a little far now. I think we're looking over a school that's no less than 2 miles away.
Hey,
Down
hold
in
on, hold
Metro
on.
Atlanta.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm still on my 2.5, 3 hours away kick right now.
We
You're
pretty
looking at
far.
you're looking at Furman, and you're also looking at Wofford. That's all within the 2.5, 3 hour radius. Now, I know who you talking about. I know you talking about that Georgia Tech, and I know you
Oh,
talking about, and I know you also talking about them Panthers of Georgia State. I I do not think either one of those schools would play Morehouse or Clark. I just think that the jump between Division 2 FCS and up to FBS It's just I just think that they'll look down like we playing Morehouse, we Power Five. Why are we playing Morehouse for? So that's the thing with Georgia Tech. That's the reason why I think that Georgia Tech won't play Morehouse. Georgia State, I think they'll be scared to lose to either Morehouse or Clark.
Shame on
Ju-
them.
Hey, Georgia State's kind of new program. They've been around for 18 years. They play. I want to say they play in the Sun Belt. Had a pretty decent year. Got a nice little stadium. They play over at Turner Ball Park, which is now called CPAC, uh, where the Braves used to play. The HBCU MEAC SWAC kickoff is played there every year. Nice stadium, really nice stadium. I just don't think that they will play Morehouse or Clark, Fort Valley or Albany. We got 4 teams within a two and a half hour drive that can come up and play Georgia State. Georgia Tech, they're just gonna say hell no. Why y'all calling us? We play Clemson. We play Clemson in Florida State every year. Why the hell we gonna play Morehouse or Clark or Fort Valley or Albany? Hell, if we wanted to play one of these, if we wanted to play one of those schools, we play Georgia State, or we gonna play Georgia Southern, or we gonna play Kennesaw and Mercer. So you kind of looking at it along those lines there. They will Georgia Tech will play shorter before they play Morehouse and Clark.
No way.
Georgia
Shorter?
Georgia Tech will play shorter before they play Morehouse and Clark.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean the way I see it, ACC versus SIAC matchup is far fetched for sure. But when Kennesaw gets into the mix and Kennesaw's FBS, when I think about Morehouse, I think about some money. You know what I mean? I think about a
Yeah,
school that really to me is more like an FBS school than FBS schools like Georgia State. To be honest, we talk about endowment, you talk
yeah.
about popularity, you talk about just the amount of growth Morehouse could go through. So when I do see Georgia Tech, I go, oh, maybe that is a team that might be a good matchup for Morehouse. But I think that may actually be something that works out better in the future for Morehouse. Maybe
And I
it's
think so too. Yeah, when Morehouse made their move to FCS to the MEAC, I can see that game happening. I know that the basketball team has played quote unquote Georgia State in some exhibition games. I want to say they played Georgia Tech a couple years ago as well in the exhibition game. Uh, but out on that gridiron's a little bit different than on that hardwood.
yep.
You know, you got to be able to stand up to one of those 6'6", 240-pound monsters they got coming off to the end.
Hello.
But we got monsters in the conference too. You know what I'm saying? So I think it could be a really really good thing. I just don't think that either one of those schools will play one of the SAAC schools right now.
Okay. Well,